Welcome to another episode of Changing Times Revisited. As you all know, Revisited is going back to old interviews that we done last year. And today we're with a good friend, Tom Cobden, Director of Sales at the Hilton Liverpool. How's everything going?
All right, I've got my suit back on anyway.
Yeah.
Last time we spoke I was unshaven and sitting in my kitchen on Zoom, wasn't it?
Well, actually, we got to see the kitchen and everything.
Yeah.
So how's everything going? Because a lot's changed since our first Changing Times, and everyone was in lockdown, and we've come out of lockdown. We've had 2 lockdowns since, and how was the landscape? Because I know you had a lot of expectations of how it was going to be.
We've spoken a lot, obviously over the summer, with various different events that we were trying to plan that unfortunately didn't materialise from an in-person perspective. But we've sort of gone throughout the year of trying to plan as much as we can from a medium to short-term basis, but unfortunately, as I say, hardly anything's been able to materialise. I think from a hospitality point of view, it's the biggest shock it's ever had.
Yeah.
You know, so and that's not just for us, it's for absolutely everybody from all aspects of hospitality. And then when we've had the opportunity and the small windows of being able to trade, businesses have been doing as we have. But yeah, major shock. I mean, we were saying earlier, we're running towards 12 months of this now.
Yeah.
Which is a long time, you know. A month and 2 months in, it seemed like this is going on for a long time, but now we're almost 12 months in.
And I think that's the shock to the system, isn't it? Because everyone thought of and the expectations from like the news and the government and stuff, it'll be September possibly, we could get back open.
Yeah.
But like you said, it's been nearly 12 months since the first lockdown, and there's still no movement. There's still, but the difference I think is everywhere was shut last time, but as you said, you was able to open on different pockets.
Yeah.
How was that for everyone? What changes did you have to make to be able to operate?
I mean, in terms of the industry, I say most people, everybody that was trading had to kind of put in the protocols in terms of communicating cleaning regimes to people, encouraging and in some instances enforcing the amount of people in a specific area, social distancing, PPE for customers and staff, and it was taking the mandatory things and the guidelines and then obviously using that to suit everybody's sort of business needs, really. I think for most people, the more that people were doing, the better, because at the end of the day it was all about trying to give people confidence, because if you were allowed back into a restaurant or a hotel, you want that person needs to feel confident. So the more venues have been doing in terms of that, including us, that seems to be the way that it's the way forward. But those sort of short periods and those windows in time were always kind of limited to how the infection rates were going. So, like for instance, hotels and restaurants and bars were opening and then having to close again within, with no notice, actually, within 24 hours notice sometimes. So it was just taking the opportunity whilst working under different conditions. So it's been very, very interesting. I think with Liverpool, we've had more opportunity than a lot of other cities, because we're obviously in a longer period of Tier 2, which allowed restaurants, bars, hotels to trade
a bit longer.
Not as normal, but as close to normal as most other cities. So from a leisure perspective, the city's seen a huge amount of people coming to the area.
So how has it been on the staff? And because obviously everyone on the first lockdown was and yourself was furloughed. And how was it when opening was able to come?
I mean, when we opened it, there was like when the hospitality opened, there was a real sense of like celebration, and I don't think it was not necessarily a feeling of celebration. We're open forever again now, because we never really knew how long that was going to last. But certainly for us, there was a real buzz around the place, and you know, the media certainly were latching onto a lot of that, which was brilliant. And you know, you've seen a lot of you know, kind of communications around who's open, who's doing what. There were special offers flying around. Obviously, Eat Out to Help Out helped the industry a lot. With us being in Tier 2 in Liverpool, obviously, you know, we had a lot more opportunity than other bigger cities. So Liverpool was bouncing it over the summer with certain periods. You know, so I mean, a lot of people have had full-on furlough from the beginning, no furlough at all, or a bit of both with the flexi furlough schemes. So, and when I speak to the members of the Liverpool Hospitality Association, for instance, you see a real mix of what people are doing, but generally speaking, we've all kind of followed a similar sort of pattern, because effectively our business is, you know, we all go after the same opportunities. So, you know, if there's no customers, then unfortunately hotels are closing, but when there is the opportunities, all the hotels and restaurant bars are opening. And when it's a kind of a bit of in between, like now, where restaurants certainly are closed, but hotels can keep open for key workers and like elite sports football teams and things like that, then you've got a kind of bit of a mix of both. So as we sit here now, some hotels in Liverpool and other big cities are open, some are shut. So it has literally been a case of reacting quickly and working out whether it's viable to stay open or closed for a short period.
Have you noticed a difference in pattern on bookings, like for yourself in sales and stuff? Is it more an impulse booking, so it's not a plan when it was able to open, or like I mean, now?
Depending on what kind of venue you're talking about, but a venue like this one where you've got big sort of meeting space and big banqueting space, that booking window can be 2 years in advance sometimes. And that's mainly because the events tend to be a bit bigger. You don't get a short lead a short lead event of that size, really. So there's obviously been a lot of events that have not been able to take place, and a lot of those events, most events, have wanted to move to the following future years, whether it be that be 2021 or 2022. So I think moving forward, in the sort of, when you look at what the future looks like, you've still got a lot of the customers' events that were meant to take in 2020, and you'll know this as well because your customers are exactly the same.
Exactly.
You know,
the same.
So yeah, I mean.
But I know from our perspective, you were brilliant with us last year, especially with one event, the Fitness Professional Awards, and it was throughout the whole lockdown. It was we can do this, so we were able to announce, and then the week of we couldn't because guidelines changed. But you were so supportive and you were so open to be able to do stuff here still without an audience guest and stuff, but we were able to, and I can honestly say we successfully pulled off a virtual event that no one saw, and I don't think anyone's been able to replicate. And I know from my standpoint and from Chase, the thing
with the Fit Pro Awards for me was that we took collectively with yourselves and Chase, we literally took every day at a time, and we adapted and changed as quickly as we could. So as you say there, it was always like, right, we can do it, but it's reduced numbers, we can do it with social distancing. Then it was like, well, now we can't do it, but what can we do? So obviously what you guys pulled off in the end was everything you were able to do at that time. And as we approached the date, obviously the restrictions got tighter and tighter and tighter, so much so that we couldn't actually do an in-person event, which was a real shame. But you made absolute best of it, and you know, obviously we were there to support whatever we could to do that. I mean, obviously, that event will happen here in
definitely
in person, hopefully this year, which is a kind of given. But I think what I'm trying to say is the process that we went through was literally day by day. It was like things were changing all the time.
Yeah.
Some customers were very much like let's just look at 2021 now. Let's just draw a line and do it. Whereas others, really wanted to kind of push it to happen in 2020, and like I say, unfortunately, that just didn't happen in the end. I mean, the opportunity may have been there.
Yeah.
We just didn't know at the time. Well, we still don't know now for this year, but I think with the vaccine and everything else, just is a game changer.
Do you think that's re-energised the industry with
100%.
having the vaccine and
100%.
available?
Yeah, I think the quarter one is a quieter period for any hospitality, or most hospitality venues anyway. But this quarter one is the quietest certainly I've ever seen it. But moving forward, when you look at what it could be like mid-year and the back end of the year, there's certainly a lot more optimism than we've had now. Obviously, we know a lot more now in terms of the end is in sight kind of thing.
Yeah.
I mean, we've always been optimistic in the fact that there's light at the end of the tunnel. Just didn't know how long the tunnel was. At least we've got a kind of sort of,
there's a little glimmer of hope going. Yeah.
And I read a white paper from the Institute of Global Change, which is Tony Blair's thing, the other day, which was written in December. And there's a lot of talk in that about this COVID passport, so that you would be able to go to a hospitality venue and kind of show that you've had the vaccine, which is the green light, really, isn't it? If you had an event for 300 people and everyone turned up with a certificate.
Is that something that you might have to put into place of, we can hold your event, but all your guests have got to be vaccinated? But because for me, that's kind of cutting your nose off to potential.
Yeah, it is, but again, we don't know what public perception is going to be like. But if you could, it's all again when we start introducing less social distancing and using less PPE, for instance, and things like that, then it is about customer confidence. And I think if I was in a room with 300 people and I knew the organiser had made sure that everybody had produced something so that they had a vaccine, my confidence would be 100%.
Yeah.
If it was only half, then you wouldn't have that same confidence. But I just don't know, David, what it's going to be like.
No,
they've not even said whether they're going to do this kind of COVID passport or whatever else. It's just that I think that is certainly a consideration.
I think it's been an obstacle, hasn't it, especially for the industry, for the events of we've been pushed back to the back of the queue.
Yeah.
And that's not even a thought, just like the theatres, and everything else, and live events in arenas and stuff, and as well as football, even though they were able to get in, but obviously now we can't. So it's kind of that uncertainty of we never gave us an opportunity to start it with an idea of what could happen. Yeah. So it's still that uncertainty and stuff.
There is,
So how is, obviously you're back in the Hilton, you're working and stuff, so how has it been on yourself? Are you here by yourself? Are you having to have COVID tests to be able to come in?
It's not mandatory for us to have COVID tests to work. I think in Liverpool we've got the benefit of having the mass testing facility over at the arena. So off our own back we've been getting tested every week, and I think it's just sensible, isn't it? At the end of the day, we want to know, if we've been infected, and by being tested regularly, it's the way you're going to find out. So we've been doing that, but like I say, it's off our own back, which has been fine. I think I've had about 10 tests now. maybe even more.
Yeah.
And I've touched wood, not that I know of. I've not contracted the virus, but I know people that have, and you know.
How has it affected you, direct COVID and stuff?
I think it's just a constant part of your life now, isn't it? You know, and I think like for me personally, it's kind of just learned to actually live with it. You know, try to live my life as much as I can, as normal as I can, but just knowing that is around, and that's it. Because, and not necessarily be, I wouldn't say that, well, I'm not sure the right word is scared of it, but you know, I'm certainly wary of it. I mean, you know, I don't want to contract the virus, but at the end of the day, I need to continue with my life as much as I can. But you know, I just have to change what I'm doing more safely. Like, people don't come in my car, for instance, anymore. It's just me. You know, I do socially distance as much as possible. I wear PPE as much as I can. You know, washing my hands and all the normal sort of stuff. So I'm kind of following the things, but I've not, me personally, with the way my life is in terms of family and work, I haven't really had the option of just locking myself away.
No.
So I've had to learn to live with it, which, you know, a lot of people have, and accept that that's what it is for now.
And getting on to your family, how are they? And obviously you come back to work and stuff like that. Has that changed the way? And are you, as well as that, are you having to do more roles than what you normally do?
Well, my other half, Rachel's been on maternity through the whole period, so she's been off anyway. Obviously, I've been in and out of work. I've had parts of bit of working from home and furlough and what have you. So I've been around a lot more at home. So our home life has been like pretty amazing, really. Certainly over the summer period. In terms of, I suppose the biggest change is that, like certainly for the twin girls, it's like they started nursery, then all of a sudden they stopped going nursery again. So they're these little friends, and then all of a sudden it's like, you know, their memory and their attention span is a lot, you know, completely different to an adult. So they're going back to nursery and kind of having to make friends with people they already know again. Like, it's just a bit weird, really. So I don't know, that it's just been different. But it's home life's been absolutely great for us, you know, as a family. Little Tommy came in April, so he's all he's ever experienced is lockdown. But he starts nursery today, so you know, he's going in. But you know, again, they could close the nurseries next week, and then he'll be back home again. So, but yeah, I think from a home life perspective, we've just been able to get on with it pretty good, really.
Yeah. And has that made you feel like you need to be more at home, rather than, obviously you've got commitments here and you've got to, and we know you when it's at full capacity, you're in constantly. Is that kind of, has it changed your perspective of, I need more time at home rather than?
I mean, between me and my other half, Rachel, we always kind of balance it pretty well anyway. You know, we're both full-time workers. So we've found that we've just had more time on our hands, and we've just used it more wisely. You know, I think, you know, we manage it pretty well anyway. And I think when Rachel goes back full time, you know, that'll be the real eye opener, as in, like, we've just got used to spending so much time at home. So the answer to that, I suppose, Dave, is I don't know yet. Don't know. I hope not. You know, I mean, I love being at work. I love being at home. And there's a definite kind of cut-off point for me for both. When I'm at work, I'm very focused, and likewise when I'm at home, I'm very focused on the family. So yeah, we'll see how that goes, but yeah, I don't know yet. I hope not. I hope it doesn't have a negative effect on me anyway.
So what are your, obviously you've gone through all this now, what are you expecting for the industry? What are your hopes? And it's been a lot longer than everyone thought, and the recovery, I think, is expectations have kind of changed because the long period of time of it not running. What are your personal expectations expectations of?
I think that the more the vaccine is rolled out, you'll see hospitality opening gradually. It won't be the click of a fingers without a shadow of a doubt. I think that some businesses, some hospitality venues, whether it be restaurants, bars, or venues, hotels, well, some have not survived, and others won't as well, and there will definitely be more casualties from that point of view, which is heartbreaking. I think a lot of things that maybe some venues had plans, like maybe refurbs or renovations, will potentially be put on hold, but then others might see it as an opportunity to invest while things are quieter. So I do think certainly there'll be a huge mix-up, but in terms of those hospitality venues that come out of this as a trading entity, it will be a slow recovery, and I think the industry has shrunk by huge amounts. I mean, I don't know what that number looks like from a revenue perspective, but you're talking billions, a hell of a lot of money.
Yeah.
So yeah, and I think as we sort of start to move to the back end of this year, I can see us starting to generate more money as an industry when people start to get more confidence in coming out, and then it's all about 2022 and planning for what that looks like.
I think that's the key thing, isn't it? That people need to know that it's safe to come out to venues like this and restaurants, that you are putting everything in place to make it safe.
Everywhere I went during the last period when we were in Tier 2 in Liverpool, every single place I went were doing something to give people more confidence. And in actual fact, I don't think that will change. I think you'll still see hand sanitisers around for years to come, because people have just got used to that, and actually thinking, that just because everybody's vaccinated doesn't mean that people can stop you doing that kind of thing. And I think you generally will see a lot of the things that have been introduced as the norm. Certainly like public areas, for instance, in venues, the cleaning protocols. Well, everybody stepped them up, but why would you then just sort of step that down again? So I think things will continue which is a good thing.
And I think from our perspective of the practices and everything, a lot of places have looked at it as a positive.
Yeah.
And they're going to keep things like in place and that.
Yeah.
And what practices have you noticed that you've had to put in as an industry, as your workplace?
It's all about customer confidence, and it's all about making sure that you're doing covering the protocols set out by governments, and that's all around cleaning and PPE and social distancing, and the amount of people that are allowed in certain areas. The things just spring to mind the more that we talk about it. So for me, I think cleaning processes will stay in like moving forward as they've been over the last sort of 9 months. You'll also see people using PPE, I think, as well. I mean, one of the things you don't necessarily see is people wearing gloves as much as I thought you might do. People kind of scrap that idea really and just with the hand washing. But masks, I can see people, because you kind of see it anyway. When you go to London, you see a lot of people wearing masks before COVID. I think that you will see people wearing masks, to prevent infection from, common cold or flu or whatever else. I really do. I think people will just carry on doing that.
Yeah.
In terms of social interactions, I think that people will start coming closer together again, and events will start happening, and mass gatherings and crowds in football stadiums will happen again. But that'll be determined by the vaccine, I think. When people have been vaccinated to a certain percentage of the population, that'll be the time when people will start naturally coming close together. I mean, when you arrive today, normally we'd shake hands, but of course we don't.
No, it was strange, because I think now people have got so used to just going and accepting, hi, how are you?
Hospitality is very hugs, kisses, handshakes.
It's about relationships, isn't it?
And you know, for us, it's a massive thing, and you know, it's just sort of, it stops. You know, no interaction of that type anymore. So you know, there's a bit of fist pumping going on here and there, which is great fun. But really, you know, getting to just shake hands normally with somebody and give somebody a kiss on the cheek, and you know, that awkward moment where you're not sure whether it's one kiss or two, but you know, you get through it. You know, all that's going to come back at some point.
It's hopefully, and I think now there is a lot of hope for the industry, and people are now looking at events for either back in the year or 2022, and it can only, I think, be a positive. As much as the year has been a complete, like, you might as well wipe it from history and stuff. And but I think people have got to look at it on a positive of, you got to spend time with family that they don't do, and I know yourself, you didn't. And as well, people have put more confidence, I think, in hospitality now, and they do want to go out more. I think now they're itching for the rules to go, hospitality can open at some capacity because they do want to go out. And it can only be a positive for yourself and the hill, and the industry on a whole.
People do want to go out, they're desperate. I mean, the amount of phone calls we get asking, people from the local area, are you open for business? Unfortunately, if it's for a leisure stay, then we have to tell them it's a no. But what it does show me is that people are desperate just to get out, and you know.
I think when events come back again, I think it'll be the best time for events, because I think every event will be sold out.
Bigger, better, more people at them. People just being in the same space and enjoying themselves. That's what I miss about events. 100%. Is seeing them smiles on them faces, and I'm sure yourself with the bar and the restaurant and everything. I mean, we organise a lot of events, as you know, for clients. I probably attend maybe 7 or 8 a year, and I really miss that. You know, whether it's our Star Ball, our own charity ball. We did the Pride Awards for the first time, the first ever Pride Awards last year, which was a great event. You know, you've got like the business awards, various business awards throughout the calendar that I go to, and I really miss them. You know, I think it's a great opportunity for people to see each other, talk, you know, from a networking perspective, or you know, just a really good night out, and you know, they're memorable. I can't wait to get back into the swing of things.
No, I can't wait.
Go back on and get my dicky bow out.
Have a drink.
Have a drink,
That's like a hidden rule, and you can't drink.
Exactly.
But no, I really appreciate you being a part of the new series of Changing Times Revisited, and I think it's got to give people an insight into what's going on in that hospitality, and there is hope now
100%,
with the vaccine. And let's get the hotel back open and the industry booming again.
When you do revisited, you know my number.
Definitely, and we'll always call it. Thank you very much, Tom.
Thanks a lot.